SORTEE 2022 participants, what a great conference this has been. The success of last year's inaugural conference put the bar really high, but I think it's safe to say that this year's edition did not disappoint. We had 48 hours packed with really riveting content. I'm quite sad that I had to sleep and missed out on some of the sessions. As this conference is ending, I'm really impressed by the community that we're building, and I'm super excited about the future of SORTEE. What impresses me the most about this conference is the passion and the energy that transpires from the talks and the discussions that we have. And I'm extremely proud of being part of a society that catalyzes that energy towards real and positive change. I was really inspired to hear about the impressive diversity of the research initiatives and, of course, the relationships that are developing to help improve how we carry out and communicate research. So let me recap what we were able to achieve in 2 days. In 48 hours, we had 5 outstanding plenary talks. Paula Martinez told us about why sharing data and code is an integral part of scientific integrity. Corina Logan explained how the preprint server peer community in registered reports lets researchers take back control of the publishing process. Thi Nguyen gave a really thought-provoking expose on the tensions that exist between trust and transparency. Chamo Machwega discussed a Pan-African project to create cyber infrastructure in support of open science and data sharing. And finally, Martin Westgate wrapped things up with an overview of how the Atlas of Living Australia supports the global biodiversity informatics community through open science infrastructure. On top of these plenaries, SORTEE members contributed 17 talks on a huge diversity of topics that included, for example, creating open hardware to monitor insect behavior, practices and tools to guide computational reproducibility, comparing heterogeneity in disturbed experiments versus meta-analyses, and personal stories about journeying into open science. We were extremely fortunate to hear from previous and current recipients of SORTEE's Open Science Awards during these talks. And I want to take this opportunity to not only congratulate them, but also to thank them for their work in this space. We also had an incredible number of workshops with the aim of helping each other to become better at creating reproducible workflows, sharing fair biodiversity data, getting started with pre-registration, using R Markdown, and much more than that. On top of these workshops, there were no less than 15 hackathons and unconferences. The topics here range from things like developing reporting checklists, sharing data and code, creating infographics, to peer reviewing reproducibility materials, and more. I really wish I could have split myself into multiple parts to attend each one of these sessions, because I think these interactive events are absolutely key for bringing us together during the conference. And I hope that many of you were able to take advantage of them to network, to learn, and to help each other out. The screenshot here is from one of the sessions that I attended, and I think the hands up are really a perfect illustration of the fantastic level of engagement that we saw by the 143 participants that attended the conference this year. If, like me, you're itching to catch up on the talks you weren't able to attend, rest assured that the recordings will all be made available on the SORTEE 2022 OSF meetings page. In fact, most of them are there already. The link is at the bottom of the slide, and I believe it's also going to be shared by the organizing committee. One of our objectives at SORTEE is to make the content that we create openly accessible. And so in line with that objective, we will be translating the transcripts of the plenary talks in several languages so that they can be watched across the world. The translations will also be posted on this OSF page, and there will be an announcement on Slack and Twitter, so stay tuned for that. In case you didn't know, SORTEE also has a YouTube channel, and it's possible to stream the plenaries there if you prefer to do that. Other announcements you might want to keep your eyes open for are really neat projects that originated from last year's conference. One is a preprint from the 2021 GitHub Hackathon. It's a very convincing argument making the case that GitHub is not just for programmers, but that it's also a very useful tool to accelerate collaborative and reproducible research in ecology and evolutionary biology. So the preprint is full of practical tips for all levels of GitHub literacy. It provides advice on how to code collaboratively and store code, manage projects, do peer review, and even write manuscripts. So I really encourage you to check it out, especially because the authors mentioned they'd really appreciate feedback before they send it off to a journal. Another preprint that resulted from a hackathon in 2021 is why don't we share data and code, perceived barriers and benefits to public archiving practices. This is pretty fresh off the press, so I haven't actually had a chance to look at it, but I'm burning to read this manuscript. I think examples of outputs like these are a really neat testament to the collaborative spirit that exists within SORTEE. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what other cool projects will emerge from this year's hackathons. Wrapping up SORTEE 2022 is also an opportunity for me to share some news about upcoming developments in the Society. One big announcement we're hoping to make soon is the integration of ECO-EVO Archive as the official preprint server of the Society. Many of you probably know of, or you've already used ECO-EVO Archive. We see a lot of value in maintaining the service for our community, and so SORTEE is committed to supporting and continuing to develop ECO-EVO Archive in the future. So here again, stay tuned for updates on that front in the months to come. Other news is that SORTEE is planning on being present at ECO-EVO conferences this summer and in future years. The media and the education and outreach committees have worked together to create a poster with information about the Society. It was presented already at the annual meeting of the Society for Experimental Biology just last week, and it's also going to be showcased at several other conferences in the coming weeks, including the joint meeting of the Ecological Society of America and the Canadian Society for Ecology and Evolution in Montreal in August. So if you happen to be going to a conference soon and you'd like to represent SORTEE, please do get in touch. We'd be really happy to send you a poster and also help you advertise SORTEE in other ways. For example, we're in the process of making t-shirts to bring to conferences. We can thank our fantastic treasurer, Alexa Fredston, for doing that. They should also soon be available for order online if you're interested in getting your own. I'm also very excited to announce that we now also have hex stickers. We're going to roll these out at the ESA CSE meeting in Montreal in August. So definitely come and get one at the SORTEE stand if you happen to be there. Lastly, we would like to stay in touch with you, not just at the annual conference or on Twitter, on Slack, but also on a more regular basis. And to that effect, there is talk about kickstarting a monthly webinar series and journal club after the summer break. I'm personally very keen to get this going, and I've had great conversations both at this conference and at other conferences I was at last month on potential topics for webinars, so you should expect to hear more about this fairly soon. If you have suggestions of topics for webinars or workshops or other activities you'd like to see happen at SORTEE, do get in touch with us. You can find out more about who to contact and how to get involved in SORTEE under the People's tab on sortee.org. The conference has been very busy, there's no doubt about that, and you might not have had the opportunity to reach out to people you wanted to talk to. So if that's the case, then definitely take the opportunity to send these people an email or a message on Slack or Twitter. If that someone happens to be on a SORTEE committee, then all the better. There's nothing more we would like than to hear from you. Speaking of people, I want to extend an absolutely massive thanks to everyone who's made this conference possible. In particular, I want to thank members of the organizing committee who are absolute heroes. They've been working tirelessly for weeks to put out calls for content, invite plenary speakers, put the program together, prep the logistics, and make sure that things run smoothly during this conference. I'm also really grateful to our supporters for contributing to the conference and for helping to further the Society's objectives of promoting open, transparent, and reliable science in ecology and evolutionary biology. So this brings me to officially closing SORTEE 2022. Again, thank you so much to the plenary speakers, to our members who contributed content to the conference, and to everyone who attended and participated in the sessions. I look forward to seeing you again at SORTEE 2023, and in the meantime, please stay in touch.